Hey, what's up and welcome everyone to another Warzone Academy video, the series dedicated to helping you become a better Warzone player through in-depth guides and gameplay. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you 2 critical settings changes you need to make in order to improve your gameplay in Warzone. The first one is going to help you out with system latency. This is going to improve your ability to track opponents, hit flick shots, and most importantly, get the opponents before they get behind cover and help out with all those, no reg shots that you swear you hit. The second setting is going to help you out with your graphics settings. This is going to help you spot enemies easier and just overall make the game look a lot more pleasant. Now, this is actually a follow-up to a wildly popular video I did about 6 months ago talking about my NVIDIA filters, but I've since made some improvements, and you guys have been asking nonstop in the YouTube comments and on my Twitch streams on how to improve this even more, and I'm going to provide that to you today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy these styles of videos where I provide value to you, make sure to drop a like on today's video, drop a subscription, and I never ask for like goals, but let's see if we can absolutely blow through 5,000 likes on today's video. But without further ado, let's talk about number 1, and that is lowering our system latency through the NVIDIA reflex technology. And I want to give a huge thank you to NVIDIA as well as WARZONE for sponsoring today's video and sending out this absolute beast of a GPU. The WARZONE Master 10GB 3080 is a completely overbuilt GPU. I mean, look at the size of this thing. The revolutionary cooling design they have in this thing makes it overclock ready. It's got RGB across all of it, and even an addressable LED screen where you can put some GIFs on there and go absolutely crazy. So big thank you to you guys for sponsoring today's video and sharing with us some NVIDIA reflex technology. Now, to be clear, you don't need a state-of-the-art GPU in order to take advantage of the NVIDIA reflex technology and the settings that I'm about to show you. All you need is a GTX 900 series, so that's a few years old and newer, in order to take advantage of these settings. So what exactly is system latency, and how does that improve our gameplay? Well, a lot of us think about network latency and how much that affects our ability to feel solid shots on target. And we notice whether we have higher ping or packet loss, and we try to do things like connecting to a wired internet over wireless. Some people even move closer to server locations to get a lower network latency. But there's actually something you can control in-house simply through graphic settings and the gear you have in your rig, and that is system latency. So what is system latency? System latency is the amount of time it takes from when you pull the trigger, click your mouse, to when that pixel change actually happens on your screen. Now, for the longest time, I figured as long as I was gaming on a monitor and not some big screen TV from the 90s, I would be fine. However, there's actually a lot of system delay happening within the render queues of your PC that you need to refine, and we can refine it through the settings that I'm going to show you. But how does this actually impact our gameplay? As you'll see here in this example, whenever we click the mouse, there's actually a 53-second delay, and this is, variable per PC. However, when you enable NVIDIA Reflex, you're going to get a significant dip, a lower delay. I can tell whenever I'm playing with network latency, a difference of 10, 15, 20 ping. We can get that done every single time within our computer with the correct settings. Now, you can even go even more overboard if you're really, an enthusiastic gamer. Look into the NVIDIA 360 hertz G-Sync monitors and get some extreme performance gains. But that's a conversation for another day. We're going to talk about what we can change here in-game and how it's going to impact us. As you can see here, once again, in this example, the difference between reflex on and upwards of that 360 hertz monitor can determine how quickly you see someone and how quickly your fire input is being registered. It's not a network delay issue. Sometimes it can be a system delay issue as to whether or not you get that hit. So how do you enable NVIDIA Reflex technology in order to lower your system latency in Warzone? All you need to do is go into your options, go to your graphics tab, and then scroll down to where it says NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency. From there, you have 3 options: disabled, enabled, and enabled plus boost. Enabled is used when you are GPU bound. And I will tell you, as someone who has an RTX 3090, a state-of-the-art GPU, I am still GPU bound in Warzone. It's an intensive game. So I keep mine on enabled. Now, technically, if you are somehow CPU bound, you're going to use enabled plus boost. This keeps your GPU spooled up and it runs it to help out a little bit with your system latency. But if you are GPU bound, this is where NVIDIA Reflex thrives, and this is where I notice a significant difference in the amount of render delay and overall system delay that I have. Now, how do you determine whether you're CPU or GPU bound? From there, all you need to do is go into your GeForce experience. So from our GeForce experience, make sure you've checked for updates and your graphics drivers are all good to go. Go to your settings, and then from your settings, make sure that you have enable experimental features. A GeForce experience update may be required, and then you're set. From there, go into your in-game overlays. Make sure you're in your in-game overlays. You're going to go to your HUD layout, and you have this new performance tab. You won't have this unless you enable those advanced settings. From the performance tab, you can have either your basic, your advanced, and then your latency. What these do is they give you information up in your top right-hand corner. For simplicity, we'll just keep it on basic. So now, whenever we go into Warzone, we can go in, we'll drop into Plunder, we'll drop into somewhere else, and you can just take a look and see what your CPU utilization is, your GPU utilization, and your render latency. And as you mess around with your settings with your boost plus enabled, and then disabled, you'll be able to see your render latency changing, and you'll also be able to see whether or not you are maxed out on GPU or maxed out on CPU, whether you're GPU or CPU bound. So to wrap it all up, all you need to do is go into a game, drop into a game of Plunder, drop somewhere where you're loading graphics somewhere in the map, pull up this performance overlay to see whether you are GPU bound or CPU bound. And if you're GPU bound, NVIDIA Reflex low latency enabled. If you are CPU bound, NVIDIA Reflex low latency enabled plus boost. And with Reflex enabled, you can enjoy the benefits of having lower system latency like increased tracking, improved accuracy on flick shots, and feeling like you actually get your opponent shot before they go around that corner. Okay, now that we have our game running with the lowest system latency possible, we're gonna switch over to the second part of today's video, and that's getting it to look as good as possible. We're gonna go from this to this. We're going to take it away, not only giving us a brighter, more colorful game, but also giving us a little bit of a competitive advantage to see in some dark areas. So here we are starting off with the default settings. Frankly, I think it's pretty boring. I think they've updated them to make them a little bit better, but really, I'm still pretty disappointed with these as the default settings. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in, and for me, I up mine to 65. If you're playing on console, I'd probably stick to about 60 because of some additional changes I'm going to do here in a moment. From there, I'm also going to make my colorblind setting Deuteranopia and change it to both. From there, I feel like the game is much brighter. It's a little bit too bright right now, admittedly. I would stick to about 60. But with the filter I'm about to show you, it changes everything. But then the colors also feel more bright and vibrant with that colorblind setting. But where we really take things to the next level is with NVIDIA filters. To pull these up, you need to either press Alt-Z or just Alt-F3 to get straight to it. And then we go from this to this. Now you can fine tune it and adjust it. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like here in a moment. But this is the bright, vibrant, colorful game that I love. It's got a little bit of blackout vibes for me. But this is what I want my game to look like. And this is why it looks so bright and vibrant right next to me, right next to my face cam. And it all looks perfect on stream. So how do we do this? We once again pull up our game filter. We're going to go over and we're going to add the details. I did not add the details filter last time, and it makes all the difference. My sharpness is going to be 15. My clarity is 0. My HDR toning is what really pulls out the shadows and allows me to see in Superstore. I'll show you that here in a moment. And then from there, I'm going to add color. For color, what we're going to do is we're going to do 20, 20, 0, and then 70. If you don't like it that vibrant, you can bring it back down, or you can crank it up. That's totally up to you. And then finally, I'm going to move. That way I don't get timed out. I would encourage you guys to do the same thing. Go into Plunder, check out the game, see what you like. Make sure you move around as you're messing with your filters. And then finally, we're going to add brightness and contrast. For all of these, you can add them yourself, but then go in and based off your own monitor and your own preference, tweak around the settings. But here's what I like to do. Don't add too much contrast because that's going to cause the shadows to get too dark, and it's going to cause the brightness, the sun, to get way too white. But that's why I have the highlights cranked all the way down, because it looks great here. But then when we look at the sun, it is like you lose so much detail. And so that's why we opt to bring our highlights way down. So that way we don't lose so much detail when we're looking into the sun. You can, like I said, bring in some brightness, but it's not worth it whenever I'm looking towards the sun. For shadows, same thing. I'm bringing out the shadows so that way I can see into dark areas. And then gamma, we're not touching. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, as long as you know the fundamentals of things like the HDR toning, the highlight shadows, tweak them all you want. but go off of my baseline settings. I would encourage you right now, if you're on mobile, take a screenshot right now. This is the baseline settings, but let me show you real quick what the difference is inside, not only out here, but inside of Superstore. So this is what it looks like in Super, and Super should not look at all the same as to what you're used to seeing, and it's all because of the NVIDIA filters. And once again, the details, the HDR toning, this is what I didn't have last time. Here it is at 0. When you really bring it up to 80, you can see that it brings out all the shadows. You can even crank it up higher if you want, but I like to keep it a little bit lower. And man, without it, holy cow, it's not even the same game. And then you go all the way back to the beginning, bring the brightness down, bring the colors down, and the game looks pathetic. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's video where I not only showed you how to get the lowest system latency possible with NVIDIA Reflex for better tracking, for better flicks, but I also showed you how to get a better looking game for a competitive advantage and the aesthetics, make sure to drop a like on today's video. Once again, we're trying to hit 5,000 likes on today's video. Drop a subscription if you enjoyed this really in-depth content, because I put some hours into this video. And once again, a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, NVIDIA and Aorus, for not only providing the awesome GPU, but sponsoring today's video. It was a blast to make, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Warzone Academy. We got more videos headed your way soon, so make sure to hit that notification bell, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace.